Hello everyone and welcome to Theology Still Matters. My name is William Hemsworth and I'm really excited. This is our first show of the podcast and we are live. So I got a couple emails this week. A couple emails saying, why are you going to do a live show? Well, there's three reasons for that, guys. One reason is I just want the show to be really organic. I want to be able to interact with you all. I want you guys to get to know me on a personal level. Secondly, if you're on Spreaker, there is a chat channel. You can send questions in, comments, and I can answer those during the program or in future programs. And just a quick note, any questions for tonight will be answered in future programs, okay? And thirdly, guys, I just really stink at editing. I tried it for a couple weeks before launch, and I'm just horrible at it. So here we are live. So why theology still matters? Well, guys, theology literally means the study of God. And as Christians, why would we not want to learn about God as much as possible? Now, there is no way to know everything about God. He's inexhaustible. And we could study theology, Christianity for our whole lives and just scratch the surface on who God is. And to me, that is awesome and that's exciting and exactly why I love theology. And as Christians, every Christian is a theologian. If you claim Jesus Christ as Savior, and you read Scripture, you pray, you have no choice. You are a theologian because people will ask you questions on what you believe. And we are to be ready to give a defense for what we believe. Plain and simple. So as far as today goes, today's episode, I just want to give my testimony of what God did, how He dug me, grabbed me, took me out of the pit of despair. And next week we'll talk about suffering in more detail. What it does, how it can even be beneficial for us. And 2 weeks from now we'll talk about the atonement and different theories of the atonement. So let's go ahead and dig into my testimony, guys. And this is something that I published on the website theologystillmatters.com back in October. So if you want to go back and read it, please feel free to leave a comment, share it. Hopefully it can help someone out there with something that I was going through. So guys, I grew up in a Christian home. I went to church all the time. I was very active in the church. I was a youth group president. Went to camp every year. Campus life in high school, I was involved in that. Different outreaches. Went on mission trips to Mexico in high school. And fast forward a few years, just about 4 years ago, and I encountered something that, it seemed insurmountable at the time, although it really wasn't. And it caused me to question my faith in a really, really deep way. I don't want to say I became agnostic. I didn't go that far. But I was asking a lot of questions. And I was just asking questions. I was searching. For the truth. So in February 2013, I was involved in a rollover accident. I was driving to work, and there was a heavy snowfall the night before, and I got into Benson, Arizona, which is about 25 minutes from where I live in Tucson. And it's very unusual in southern Arizona to have that amount of snowfall. It was 18 degrees that morning. I think in Benson they had like 18 to 20 inches of snow. So I get on the road to go to work in Benson, and I hit a patch of black ice. I was going about 50 miles an hour, and I rolled a couple times. Actually went airborne and landed directly on my head. And just a couple minutes before at the McDonald's, I had bought this fresh cup of coffee. And I remember when I went airborne that this coffee just started going all over the place. And for some reason, the first thought in my mind was like, oh no, my coffee. That's the true sign of a coffee addict, right? I woke up, obviously I was a little flustered, obviously. I landed flesh on my head. I remember the windshield cracking, and that was about it. But I woke up on my side, and my foot was pressed up against the gas pedal. I was flooring my truck, even though I was on the side. And thankfully, I was able to get out of the truck, under my own power. There was a nurse that just happened to be traveling behind me, who saw the whole incident occur. He stayed there with me until the police came. And who knows what would happen if he wasn't there. But what I didn't know at this time is, well, at that time, that was my seventh concussion that had happened. And if any of you have ever had concussions, you kind of understand that, it's harder to recover each time that you get one. So the next couple months were really, really difficult for me. They were a blur. I really don't remember much about the 2-3 months after the accident. I was having horrible migraines. I couldn't remember a thing. It was so frustrating. I remember asking my wife. I remember one occasion in particular now, but I remember asking my wife the same question about 4 times in a row in a span of maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Just crazy stuff like that. I couldn't remember what I just did a couple minutes before, and it's really scary. It's unnerving, and on top of having the concussion, I was having this pain in my neck. This pain would not go away, no matter what I did. I would find out about 8 months later that I actually fractured a vertebrae in there. Somehow got missed. But I was in constant pain. I had migraines, I had memory issues. And guys, I just went into a very, very, very deep depression. I was given multiple medications, antidepressants, painkillers, muscle relaxers, you name it. I was on multiple prescriptions. And I remember specifically, I'm told to take, 2 pills per day. That led to, 4 per day, led to 6 per day, led to 8 per day. At my worst, guys, I was taking between 53 pills per day just to function. It was not a good situation at all. And one I'm really ashamed of, but at the same time, sharing this in the past has been able to help some people. And for that, I just thank God every day. So when you're taking that many pills in a day, safe to say that you're hooked on them. You need them to in your mind, you need those things to function. And things are just getting worse. I remember waking up one morning and I had this numbness this tingling in my fingers, this horrible neck pain, and this horrible migraine. So I had it in my mind that I was, I wanted it in my life. I was tired of it. I was miserable. I was hurting. I was a very pit of despair. And all this, even though I have a fantastic wife, had 2 kids, and we had twins on the way. Everything was actually going right for me. But I was trapped in this. I was blinded because of this addiction, if you will. Satan had blinded me to these great blessings that were in my life. But there was a cliff that was on the way to work, and the plan was just to drive off it. So I'm coming up to this cliff, and I couldn't do it, guys. So I just kept on to work like nothing had happened. And I cried all day. How my coworkers couldn't see me crying, I don't know. Because it wasn't just a little whimper, where your eyes get teary-eyed. It was full-blown crying. I had to leave a couple times. I went to the bathroom and wailed. It was horrible. And so, on my way home that night, I'm thinking, okay, I'll do it on my way home because there's another cliff on the way home. Well, I couldn't do that either. I just kept seeing pictures of my kids in my head. These 4 awesome blessings from God that I had been given. And how I would be letting them down, how I'd be letting my family down, how I'd be letting my wife down. I couldn't do it. So I get home. And when everyone was in bed, I cried more. just like I had done at work. My eyes were so red, they hurt so bad. They cried so much. And it was at that point that a Bible verse from my youth came into my mind. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, which says, "And he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is perfected in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me." This hit me like a 2x4 upside the head. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is perfected in weakness. This peace came over me with that verse. In the King James Bible commentary, kind of says, he says in regard to this verse that the trial will remain, but it will be accompanied by the enduring grace of God. And this verse kept playing in my mind over and over and over and over again. And while my family was asleep, I knelt down in my living room. It took everything I could to do this, because it's a pride thing. We need to release our pride. And I asked for this grace that's talked about in this verse. I said, Jesus, if you are real, here I am. I can't do this anymore. I almost ended my life today. I need you. You're what I'm looking for. If you are real, here I am. I asked for help to endure the migraines, to endure the pain in my neck and the nerve issues, and with the PTSD that had happened. I no longer wanted to take those pills. Those pills, even though they were there to help me, I abused them. And they were starting to ruin my life. And this is true. I'm not making this up. Since that night, guys, I have not touched a pain pill. And it is all because the unmerited grace that Jesus Christ has shown me. I understand that an event like this is very rare, and I don't know why it happened to me, but I am ever thankful. But I do know that the grace that I experienced that night is available to every one of us. And it doesn't cost a dime. It will cost our lives, because we'll be choosing to hand our life over to Christ. His grace is sufficient to help us with what we are going through. I've been on both sides, and by far, Christ is the best side to be on. Guys, so that's my testimony in brief. I could go on for a long time, but I want to try to keep this podcast between 10 and 15 minutes. So if you're out there, I hope this has helped you in some way. I hope it shows you that there is an answer to what you're looking for, and that is Jesus Christ. Guys, God bless you guys. Check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And we'll see you guys next week. God bless you guys.